Okay, I'm sorry. I've had to do several takes, and I'm not really sure how this video is going to turn out. But so these are the water beads, and these are the water beads when they're not, they haven't had anything applied to them. So they're dark, they're hard, and they're small.
Very small.
Very small, and they're hard, and I kind of like to use that as an analogy to your heart when you're living a small life. These have gotten a little damp in my playing around with them the last 2 days. So they're kind of sticky, but normally they're not. And so they're like, they remind me of those little tiny things that you put like on cake, the sprinkles. They're like that hard, and that's how they feel. So here they are. So that's 1/8 of a teaspoon that's in there. And so if I measure out, this is a 1/4 teaspoon. My measuring spoon's gone. So this is twice as much as what's in there. But this is 1/8 of a teaspoon of water beads that have been soaking in water and soaking up their purpose and God's word. And this is how big they are. Oops, the light's kind of glaring, but they're translucent. They're very soft. They're squishy. They bounce. And they're huge compared to where they start. So here's, let's see if I can get a darker colored one. They come in all, you can get them in specific colors. You can get them in 2 color combinations. I got mine on Amazon. They were $12. The $12 filled this bag. And a tablespoon makes a whole quart when it's, so you see this is 1/8 of a teaspoon. And this is 1/8 of a teaspoon. Huge difference. I may be wrong. I think in the email, the message on Facebook, I said they get 10 times the size. That could be incorrect. That could be very incorrect. It could be more. So here's one. There's a red bead. And here's a full size red bead.
It becomes pink.
It does become pink. So I've got a low battery notification. So there we go. Huge difference in size. Now, when you take them out of the water, slowly they begin to shrink. So these have been out of water since 7:30 this morning. And it is now 1:30, so is that 5-6 hours? They have been out of the water. You see, this one is shrinking already from its full size. So if they get removed from their good environment that helps them create growth, they shrink. It doesn't happen right away. It's not instant, but it happens. And if they're left with just a little tiny bit of water in the bottom of their container, they stay nice and plump. If they're surrounded, like there's a group of them in a bowl together, they shrink slower, but without the water, they always shrink back. So
like this orange one is starting to shrink already.
that one's shrinking. So it's a really, really excellent object lesson. The other thing, which I don't have for you at this moment, is that when they're in the process of reaching their potential, they look blurry. I sent those photos in the Facebook message. And they look blurry, and they also get kind of bumpy. Like they don't grow smoothly. These are smooth and round, and these are smooth and round. However, when they're growing, you can see little air bubbles coming out of them from time to time, and they're bumpy. They actually get a bumpy texture on them. Like to me, it reminds me like the bumps on the back of an alligator. So the growing process isn't pretty, and it's kind of blurry, and it might be a little confusing, and it might be a little tiny uncomfortable. I mean, they get kind of bumpy. So it's an excellent object lesson for growing as a person in life. Spiritual growth, personal growth, physical growth. All of those things are uncomfortable. Sometimes we get confused and the lines get a little blurry and we're not really sure that we're still going in the right direction or not. And if we lose our circle of positive friends, our iron that sharpens iron, if we get out of God's word, if we get out of fellowship with other believers, other people who are growing us and bringing us along, for the purpose that God has us. What happens is we begin to shrink, and it's a slow shrinking. It's not instant, and it's not nearly as painful. They shrink and they stay really pretty while they're shrinking. You don't notice it. It's like the song Slow Fade. So anyway, I thought it was a beautiful object lesson. It hit me on Thursday morning or Wednesday morning before retreat, and as I was packing, I actually packed this jar and brought it with me to retreat and put it on the counter as a reminder to me, not sure why, because I was totally immersed in water that whole weekend. But, you know, it totally was not an appropriate time or place to show things to people. So there you go. These are our, that's my object lesson for growth. And with these fabulous little beads. People apparently use these for decorating. I use them for sensory play with my little kiddos. And actually, I love them. They feel so good. They feel really, really good when they're all waterfied. My 10-year-old says, yeah, they do. It's actually very calming and soothing for me to play with these. So
I could rub my hands in them all day.
Yeah, we could totally rub our hands in them all day. It's better than a manicure. So anyway, there's my little object lesson idea and how it can be used, and if you would use it is all up to you, and I think it could apply to many things. Thanks. Bye.